So I'm going to open the September 22nd, 2021 regular meeting of the Putney Selectboard. And let everyone know that we're a select board of 2 tonight. Josh will not be here tonight, and I'll do my best to chair this meeting with help. And so I'm calling to order the meeting, tonight's meeting. Karen, any adjustments to the agenda?
I have one.
Okay.
Under 7 select board items, B. I'd like to table that.
We're going to table the FY22 municipal resolution for municipal planning grant. Got it. Okay.
Yes.
Very good. Thank you. Anything else?
That's it.
Okay. A motion to approve minutes.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of September 9th, 2021.
And I'll second that.
All in favor?
Any discussion?
Okay.
We're good?
Aye.
Aye. All those in favor? Aye. Great. And now I'll make a motion to approve and execute the warrants to the treasurer upon completion of review.
I'll second.
And Karen, you want to tell us about that, please?
Sure. So payroll warrant dated September 24th, 2021 in the amount of $18,788.43.
Who's, maybe this is on here every week and I don't notice it, Jordan?
Jordan Malakowski
Yeah,
is
is
a new first responder.
I was going to say, I didn't recognize that name.
Yes.
Okay, great. All right. That's the only one I don't recognize.
No, I'm good.
You're good?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Accounts payable, September 11th through September 24th, 2021, in the amount of $176,575.03. I will let the board know that the highway department expenditures were approximately $101,207.95. Of that, there was a truck payment of $37,583.03, and there's a crushing bill. So we crush material down at our pit for $29,946.80, and there was a contractor storm damage.
The storm from July?
Yes.
Okay, got it.
For $19,048. So that's most of the expense right there for the highway department.
Okay.
So there's really nothing else that's highly unusual in this.
There's one for $9,900 for Twin State. Is that for the fire truck?
Yes.
It is, okay.
Yep. So that was for the engine that we did not trade.
Got it from that truck. Got it.
So, I mean, the expense to have it serviced outweighs the expense we would have had.
10,000 is way less than many hundreds of thousands.
Yeah.
Right.
$550,000.
And we have a payment to the town of Darlington for 92 cents.
Yeah.
Could round that up to $1.
No, it was our tax bill, and there was, I don't know if there was a typo or whatever, and we owed them 92 cents.
Okay.
And perhaps it would have been easier just to go down to town office and give them the pennies.
92 pennies.
Yeah, so,
Okay.
So the $37,000 payment was on the newest truck, the highway department's newest truck?
yeah, it was a 2020 Western Star.
Got it, okay.
Okay.
I'm good.
I'm good.
Okay. There's no more discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye?
Thank you.
Okay.
So are we signing those or are we signing this?
I don't care.
Does it matter?
The ones in the folder.
Okay, all right. So then we'll move on to public comment on items not on the agenda. Do we have anybody? Someone help me read that screen?
Nobody's got their hand up there.
Okay.
All
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Hi, Eva.
I want to say it's so nice to be back, and it's so nice to see the 2 of you doing the good work of the town, plus the town manager, and plus the treasurer. Or wait a minute, what is
Assistant,
Alyssa Harlow, she's everything, right?
administrative assistant.
But I'm so grateful that without my presence, you were able to carry on.
It was hard.
It was not easy, Eva, it was not easy. We are glad to have you back.
Thank you for volunteering to do public service work.
If you remember correctly, I was drafted, so.
I do remember. Thank you.
Thank you, Eva. Thank you for saying that. That means the world to me. Thank you so much. So, if that's it, then we're going to move on to the town manager's report. Got you, Karen?
That is me. So I just want to update the folks about storm damage and roads. So we're still getting phone calls about River Road, and it's in the works. So Brian has contacted an engineer. Probably in the next week, we're gonna have equipment down there, and he's gonna make a road down to the culvert and get that area prepped
Good.
for a contractor.
Okay.
We still don't have a state of an emergency yet declared.
Right.
So we're still now waiting for the federal government to do that.
So the governor's,
The governor has
Want to.
requested a state of emergency,
Mm-hmm.
so it takes time. So Cemetery Road, the culvert has been ordered. We don't know when it will arrive. Brian did order culvert for other projects around town.
Mm-hmm.
He put the order in June, and it just came this week.
Got it. Yeah,
So-
everything's back up.
Our hope, because the culvert on Cemetery Road is gonna be larger,
Great.
so not too many, you don't buy a lot of those, so that might come sooner than later. But we'll see, and as soon as we know the schedule, then we'll notify the property owners on Cemetery and Warden Road and let them know what's gonna happen. So Brian thinks that, he can repair that road and still keep one lane open,
Got it.
but we'll see what happens, so.
That's good, that's trick.
just- Yeah. So we're moving as quickly as we can. He's been on the phone with contractors, vendors. It's a matter of time.
So just to remind me, and maybe everybody else out there too, the River Road project is gonna be a box culvert, right? And the culvert is gonna be a box culvert eventually, but we're gonna repair it temporarily with a regular culvert? Is that what's happening, or do we think we're getting the box culvert in time to do it?
We're hoping to get the box
Okay.
over.
Okay,
So
great.
that has to be made.
Got
It has to go out to bid. Depending on contractors' schedules is
Yeah.
gonna dictate who will be awarded the project. Doing a temporary fix, if we have to do that in the spring, we know we're gonna have to go back and pull it out
Right.
and do it the right way, long-term.
So it would be ideal for us to do it once and get it done, if we can
Right.
do it in a short enough period.
Right, but
Right.
if the state of emergency is not declared,
Mm.
the town will be paying for all the repair.
Right.
So this is why there is some lag.
Got it.
Because not knowing,
Mhm.
River Road could be up to, $300,000 to $500,000
Yeah.
project,
A huge expense. Sure.
and if the taxpayers are gonna pay for it, it will be a pipe culvert.
Right.
But, and we don't know where the numbers are right now. I know Putney is about $1 million,
You mean throughout the state?
throughout the county, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
from that storm.
yeah,
Yeah.
I haven't seen the number,
Good.
so.
Okay, thank you. Excellent.
Yeah. So around town too, there's a couple other spots, South Pine Banks Road, East Town Farm Road, there, and East Putney Falls. So there are culverts that need to be replaced. Now that he has culverts in, he can get around to those spots.
Mm-hmm.
The grader is out there resurfacing roads.
Mm-hmm.
So they're still putting material down and then grading.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're in a lot better shape now. Brian feels comfortable
Mm-hmm.
with the amount of work that's been done. Couple other people still not getting mail that, I just found out about one yesterday. So we just been kind of spot checking and going up and fixing them so they'll get mail, but I haven't got a whole lot of phone calls about mailboxes lately.
Good.
But,
Good.
So
I think the only other thing I can think of is there were some questions about flat tires and finish surfacing and stuff like that. I didn't know what came up with that.
yeah, that, all the calls came in before the last meeting, and I did call Passive
Mhm.
Insurance representative, and there's not much you can do with the tires.
Mhm.
It's unfortunate, but
Right.
it's just, how do you prove it, So we could submit a claim, but it would get denied is what I was told.
Okay.
So,
Well, it's good to know that.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing that research. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Thank you.
so I'm just glad it worked out. And I know some people paid for new tires, but for the most part, they were patched.
That's,
It's unfortunate, and,
And in the spots where most of that happened, that's been top coated. Those spots
Yes.
have been top coated, so it's not an
Yes.
ongoing issue.
it's
So,
not,
right,
no,
good.
it hasn't,
Right. Good.
Like I said in the
No,
last meeting.
hold on, from the Putney School on Houghton Brook to, up this way, up, towards, Houghton Road, all those, that's nothing that's been, tarred, covered over, whatever you wanna call it, what is it? Laid the
Resurfaced?
tarmac over it, it's, people, I'm telling you, 5 or 6 people have had flat tires there. It was
recently?
sharp, and they reported it to the town.
Yes.
Well, that's,
Yeah, we know about those, Eva.
what we're saying is that happened during a period of time where people were driving on what's called riprap
Riprap,
instead of
yes.
having bank run gravel put on it and graded.
Yep,
And since,
no, I understand.
okay,
None of those people come to the meetings, and I just wanna speak, so that if I can encourage them to come to the dang meetings, it would be good, but anyway, blah, blah. Those are the people who whine and moan, but not direct.
mhm.
Anyway, what am I saying? Go ahead.
It's okay, I think we're over that hump right now, so.
Yep.
Great. And here's something, Karen, and
Yeah.
all of you. For the first time, I saw, and I'm watching all the time my road, the sheriff's department drive up and do a cruise through. We need the sheriff's department, which we pay, to be out here in the outland, moving around. And I know that it's the state police at night when these robberies went on up here. Some big robberies went up here, and some terror went on to that young woman, or that woman, I don't know how young
Yes.
she is.
Yep.
The thing is, the sheriff's department needs to be moving through these areas all the time. It's good to get tickets on Route 5, but it ain't the right place to be all the time.
Nope, you're absolutely right.
I agree, Eva, thank you for that.
Glad to know they're out and about.
Today they were.
Good. Flood Resilient Communities Fund. So I was approached by the Wetlands Committee. There's a lot of grants like out there right now. I'm just like a little overwhelmed because I'm like wondering where all the money came from, but it could be, the money that came down from the feds. I don't know, but there's a lot out there and they just keep coming. And the good thing is that some of them could benefit the town of Putney. So I'm looking at them. I'm looking at them and working with certain groups to
Yeah,
try
go
to
ahead.
obtain them. And what I'll do is, can we mute her?
Oh, she's
Thank you.
Yep.
So I'll work with the Wetlands Committee and bring forward
Okay.
more information on this grant. But basically, it is to connect Sackett's Brook to the floodway because it's changed down there so
Got it.
much. I was down there yesterday for a couple hours, and I could see the difference, and just in the time that I've been here.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's just like, and as you know, it's our drinking water source supply. And so I know Ann is here. I don't know if she wants to talk about it a little bit or not.
I know nothing, and I would love to hear something.
Well, the wetland committee is concerned because the Sockets Brook, if you're standing on the bridge
Yep.
and you're looking downstream,
Yep.
the brook has become much wider, and you can see from this last storm where the sides of the stream are being torn up by the force of the water coming through. And what's happening is it's been messed with maybe 10 years ago, and it's been put on an erosive, what they call an erosive slope. It's going downhill too fast. And so basically what Sockets Brook is doing is it's incising, it's getting deeper, the sides get steep, the sides collapse in, the brook gets wider,
Yeah,
and it just keeps going.
yeah.
And it's gotten just astonishingly wider than it used to be. And the floodplain is now up here and the brook's down here.
Got it.
So it has to come all the way up here to even get a little water onto the floodplain.
Mm-hmm.
So what used to just be a big wet space, now it's pretty dry even during intense storms.
And the concern about it being drier is?
The concern about it being drier is the water that's not, two things about the water that's not on the floodplain. The water not on the floodplain is running really quickly toward the solar panels, the dam in town, and over the dam and so on. In other words, more water is getting more rapidly down into this vicinity rather than staying up there.
Okay.
That's one issue. And that's what fits this flood resilient fund.
Got it.
And the other thing is when floodwater spread out in the floodplain, part of the water eventually goes back to the stream, and part of it goes down into the ground and helps the well by replenishing the water in the water table.
Mm-hmm. Got it.
So those are the concerns that we have with the brook acting like this.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
That's good, good explanation, thank you.
You're very welcome.
So with
Thanks
this
for
fund,
considering
we're hoping that we could get some grant money to have a consultant
Uh-huh.
come up with some options or.
Yeah.
It seems like that brook bed has changed a lot. From when I was a kid, I went down through there fishing and the brook was all the way over by Ed Temple's. That the brook wandered its way that way instead of over towards the solar panels. That the old brook bed had. So it must be.
You're exactly right, you're exactly
Yeah.
right.
Yep.
So I know that upstream in the Forest for Learning, it's also changed quite a bit over there as well.
Right.
So the meadow there has gotten much more consistently wet, and it's actually very, very shallow. I remember when we first moved here, kids could jump off that bridge,
Right.
and now there's no swimming hole there at all. So it seems to be changing, and it's probably changing all the way upstream too. But in those two particular areas, I think there are areas of concern.
Yeah, I'm not really versed in this stuff, you know, and if we could find someone who was, they probably would want to look at much of the wetland, I would think.
Yeah.
The area in Forest for Learning, and maybe even the part, you know, behind the temples, as you said, and just sort of see how the whole system is working or not working
Right.
the way it used to or should.
Right.
And some things we're just not going to change, like the amount of water.
It is
that
a
comes
it is
out
a
of the
river.
sky.
Right.
Yeah.
Can I say something? This is Mary Quinn.
Yes, Mary, go ahead.
Part of it has to do with beaver dams being removed. And that's one of the reasons why water is going faster. Because there's nothing holding water back.
Yes, yes.
And there's no way the beavers can make a dam now that it's so wide.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one reason for trying to find someone. I
Got it.
mean, what the grant would be to hire a professional to tell us if something can be done or not
Got
done.
Got it.
So we're losing a lot of quality water. First of all, going down into the Connecticut. It's not staying in Putney.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be, and also for water to get into the aquifers, it needs weight on it. Like in the pond used to be 4 to 5 feet deep, now it's about 1, maybe 2 feet deep. It doesn't even reach the culvert, so, we're just looking for ways to hopefully, make that area more healthy for the creatures that live there, but also for us creatures who live here, you know, who have houses here too.
All those creatures who drink water.
That's right,
No, it's
So
great.
anyway.
Let's hope we get the grant and they can do that. And it's not
I know.
my area of expertise, so.
Well, they're gonna tell us how, and then we gotta find the money to do that after that, if they can figure it out, so.
Right.
Anyway,
Okay.
that's all.
All right, thank you, Mayor.
So I do have another grant I'm working on with Brian for, it's the Municipal Roads Grant Program for equipment,
Mm-hmm,
certain equipment that will help with the grants and aid work that
Got
we're
it.
doing.
great.
So, that'll come to you, like, probably in the next meeting.
Okay,
And there's other grants out there, but I just haven't got my head around them yet. So, Old Route 5 update, traffic study. So I contacted Wyndham Regional Commission and spoke to Jeff Nugent. He is gonna put traffic counter on Old Route 5
Between Carroll Brown Way and the,
and the
The
old
new-
library.
yeah.
the
Yep.
north end, right,
Yep.
yep.
So we talked for quite a while and he gave me some different ideas. So I'll research those and bring them back to the board. But once we get the traffic count, then we can determine what might be best. But, you know, 3-way stop sign could work. He gave me, you know, like bike lanes, walking lanes.
Mm-hmm.
They work in Manchester, New Hampshire, and, you know, the bigger cities, you know, on like rural streets, you know, where you can see the sight distance,
Yeah,
you know. So in Old Route 5, it's kind of like that.
got it.
So I'm gonna look into that a little more, because I was speaking with Pat Bannister with the Planning Commission, and he's looking at a grant for sidewalks, possibly for Putney Landing, you know, to connect to the village.
Yeah.
And whatever happens at the gateway entrance, that may dictate what happens on Old Route 5 too, who knows? See, I think there's a lot of different components and elements that will tie into one another.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't want to be premature.
Right,
We want to have all our ducks in a row.
get all the information you can.
Yes.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
So I'll keep you posted on what's happening with that. And I know the sheriff's been on that road because they told me that.
I was just gonna ask that question,
So,
if they had any idea, any kind of information or statistics about how people were driving on that road in that section. It was the concern that, I forgot her name. Kathleen
yeah.
brought up was the speed that people were driving at.
Right.
And I didn't know if Wyndham County had, you know, written tickets or put the smart card out there or any of that stuff to
The
try to.
smart cart hasn't made it there. It was up by Putney Central School, and then it's supposed to go out by the grammar school. I don't know if it made it out there. I'm gonna call tomorrow and find out. But as long as it's in Putney, we can have it moved around.
Nice,
So
okay. So that'll be part of the plan.
that's right.
Good.
And I know there's grants for modifications, you know, for roads like Old Route 5 and whatever we decide to do. If it's a sidewalk, if it's signage,
Did we
whatever.
find out whether we own that road or whether the state owns it?
That's still questionable. I spoke to Jeff Nugent about that, and so I'll have to find out.
Thank you, Karen, thank you.
Yes. I think that's it for me.
So-
Vice Chairman,
Mr. Fairman,
2 points about what you were just talking about. First one is, something that would help a lot is to post Putney speed limit northbound on Old Route 5 at the Dummerston Putney line. There's no speed limit sign there. So legally, the speed limit is 50 miles an hour unless otherwise posted. And actually, the sheriff, as I understand it, will not issue tickets on a road unless the speed limit is posted in both directions. Because you have to let people know what the speed limit is.
Right.
The other thing is, it was mentioned the possibility of a grant to run a sidewalk to Putney Landing, where I happen to live. We have a pedestrian laneway, which is the original driveway that runs between Putney Landing and Old Depot Road. And of course, Putney Landing Road itself, between Old Route 5 and I-91, is a sure state highway.
Mm-hmm. Yep, good points. We talked about that last meeting a little bit, I think, Howard, and I'm sure that's part of it. And I don't know if we've had a conversation with Wyndham County about the signage or whether it's up to the town to put the sign up. I can't remember that part of the conversation. If there's a speed limit sign missing.
Well,
Alright.
if it's our road,
Yeah.
which
So
they
we need to
are our
find that out
signs,
first.
yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
So that's the first step.
Right.
Okay, I'm gonna jump in. What I'm gonna request is that you all request that the sheriff's department put one of those signs like they have up by Putney Central School halfway down Kimball Hill. People hit at the top of the hill and they zoom down. And they're going 35, 40, 45 miles an hour. I want borrow that or get another one and put it there for a couple of weeks.
All right,
That's a good thought, Eva. It's a really good thought. Yep. I want one for the end of my driveway too. So anyway.
Sorry today.
Anyway, where are we, Karen?
You're on select board items.
Okay, here we go. 7, select board items for discussion and/or action. A, Halloween children's event. Ruby, are you here? Is Ruby here?
yep.
I am here.
Oh, hi, Ruby.
So can I just say in your packet, there's an email from Tom Goddard.
Okay.
So he's okay if the select board chooses to close Kimball Hill
Mm-hmm.
for this event, like we had 2 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
And then, also Josh is okay with doing that, as long as the governor doesn't, come out with some sort of guideline for COVID
Mm-hmm.
that would prompt us not to do it on Kimball Hill.
Are you lined up with that, Ruby? Is that good for you too?
Yeah, and essentially what that will mean, because last year we had a successful event that was a drive-through event, we can pivot at any moment to, we'll still do a candy drive, we'll make plans to distribute candy, and if things change and we don't have it on Kimball Hill, we will have a drive-through event.
Got it?
Okay.
Great.
So what?
But I think that I don't know if this is what Tom's email to you said, but I think the expectation is that there are many families that will trick or treat, and the benefit of closing Kimball Hill for that period is that it creates a safe space, and so that the emergency responders in town aren't dealing with being highly concerned about cars and kids who are, dressed in things that aren't bright enough. So that, I think, is the primary reason why Tom was for closing Kimball Hill this year, whereas last year it was a different story.
Got
All
it.
right, and this year it's on a Sunday as well, right? So we won't be we wouldn't be disrupting too many people's daily commutes.
Right.
So that's
And I'd like to request that it not go in the Reformer, but that it go in Putney, and I like Putney and those places, and keep it in Putney, because the last time that it was done, it was wave after wave of people from Brattleboro, from New Hampshire, whatever. And there's nothing wrong with them folks liking candy, but the problem is it makes it so crowded, a little rough for those little ones. I'd like it to be Putney, Westminster West, okay, some Dummerston, but not this great huge. So I request that it not go in the Reformer.
How
So I
does
have a
that?
question for Ruby.
Yeah.
Ruby,
Yeah, so,
what
yeah, go
time?
ahead.
Ruby, what time are you gonna do the event? Do you have an idea?
I think we usually have the kind of celebratory festivities between 5 and 7. And I think the road might be closed between 4 or 5 and 8 maybe. I have to go look back at the last time we closed it, but it's around 2 hours of active kids milling around.
Okay. And
I do think, just to speak to what Eva has mentioned, the publicity we get or we don't get, oftentimes isn't because we're seeking it out. It's because the reformer comes to us and says, can we run an article? And actually last year with the drive-through, I think we did exactly what Eva said, which is Putney, and we don't advertise on Brattleboro. We primarily stick to Facebook groups in Putney and the Putney school, the Putney Central School. So I don't think that there's a way that we can control this thing, because there are oftentimes people who, they have a friend whose family's in Marlboro and they have nothing to do, and so they come. And we're not going to be turning people away, but we certainly can encourage people to do things in their own town. But I was just thinking to myself, how am I going to feel? I'm pretty cautious about my kids, and how am I going to feel about this, like tons of people in this space? And I was driving up Kimball Hill and imagining it closed to traffic, and it's a considerable amount of space. And we will not have indoor spaces, I don't think, this year. So we're exploring, and it's in the early stages of having a tent or something outside.
Good idea. Good idea.
Hopefully we could have heaters so that could be the warm, if it's freezing cold is really the reason why we have indoor spaces. But, so I think it will be a little bit different this year, even than 2 years ago, but I'm not sure we can really control that thing even.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking about adolescents that I've never seen before, up at Matt and Hannah's house, and we were doing out the window of Matt and Hannah, top of Kimball Hill. There's it flat and headed out, and those were adolescents I never saw before in Putney, and they weren't 8th graders or 9th graders or 10th. So it's mom and pop drop them off somewhere up the road and come back and get them later. So I'd like to see that cool down just a little bit.
Okay, I thank you, both of you. Are we obligated to put it in the paper because we're closing a road?
No.
We're not, okay. I just wanted to make sure we weren't.
No, we'll have
liable.
signage out there.
Uh-huh.
Fire truck will be out there.
Okay.
We are ordering different signs.
Okay,
So Kimball Hill will be closed. People can do Signal Pine or Sand Hill.
got it, okay.
Or they can do Hope Road,
or they can.
So that-
They'll figure it out. They'll figure it out.
Yeah.
It's like,
What we usually do is, I work with Tom on a traffic pattern or a map that will help people understand what the road closure means. As Eileen mentioned, it's on a Sunday, so it's less of a concern. Usually it's at the end of a work day and it screws somebody's commute home up.
Right.
But we still would release the map, and probably as early as possible, so people can plan to avoid those roads or those routes if they need to. And I do have a plan. I'll be putting out a call for kind of volunteer support for anyone who wants to put their head together with me. And hopefully, I usually get 1 or 2 people who live on Kimball Hill. And my thought, I have a few thoughts. I have lots of thoughts, but one of them is to kind of put a note in all of the up and down Kimball Hill and the houses that are affected, and invite them to let us know if you have concerns, let us know if you want to participate in candy, let us know if you don't want to participate at all, and we'll figure out a way to make sure that people aren't bothered if they don't want to be bothered. And if there's a concern, the only other the only thing that's ever come up, there's one or two people on the Hill who were concerned about not having, if their car couldn't drive in, they were limited with their mobility in terms of getting to their house. And Tom always was very responsive to that. And and I don't think we ever heard any lasting complaints around that, but we will kind of paper the Hill and try to make it so that it's not a surprise for people that it's happening.
Thank you for dealing with all of this. And I just wanted to mention that the letter from Tom is the same one that we read last meeting, I believe.
Yeah, I'm
Right.
pretty sure we're.
So there's no change.
Nothing has changed.
Right.
So do we need to make a motion to close the road or approve the event, or what is our role here?
Yeah, the road is
Okay.
your
Okay, so-
responsibility.
Do we need a specific, can we make a motion just to close it, or do we need a specific time? Didn't sound like the times were quite set in stone yet.
We just make it for the date.
Right, you can
Wait
do
for
the
the
date
date,
and you
okay.
can do pending, amount, for the alternative route,
Okay.
Do you want to do
Okay,
that?
so I will make a motion to approve the closure of Kimball Hill to Signal Hill, what the heck?
Signal Pine.
Thank you, Signal Pine Road, on October 31st, pending a map of alternative routes.
And I'll second that. Any more discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor?
Aye?
Aye?
All
Okay,
right.
we're good.
All right, I'll be in
Thank you
touch,
very
Ruby.
much.
Ruby, thank you. Okay, so we've tabled we're on to item B and we've tabled that. And so item C is Affordable Housing Advisory Committee appointment of Howard Fairman. And we got a letter here from Howard stating that he would like to be on that committee or be considered for that committee. And I think, I'm sorry, go ahead, Howard.
As I mentioned in the covering email, because I sent this letter to you folks last Friday via email, I mentioned if I might briefly read some excerpts from the letter so that I personally introduce my candidacy.
Absolutely, I'm fine with that. You okay with that, Ellen? Absolutely, yep.
Okay. I am a resident of Wyndham and Windsor Housing Trust's Putney Landing. 3 new in 2018 super insulated, energy efficient fire sprinkler buildings, 12 townhouses housing young families, 6 apartments housing senior citizens, including a grandparent of a Putney Landing family, managed by Wyndham and Windsor Housing Trust employees, an assigned property manager and an assigned maintenance technician visiting the property at least weekly. Compact housing development, recycling an unused serviced building lot within an existing village, preserving surrounding nature, paying town and school property taxes. If I am appointed to our Town of Putney Affordable Housing Advisory Committee, I shall advocate for more high-quality affordable housing of young families, sustaining Putney's population and public school as Putney baby boomers, now aged 57 to 75, increasingly downsized by selling their larger homes to growing families, including those begun at Putney Landing. Thank you.
Thank you, Howard. So usually the way this works is the committee vets any people that apply to be on the committee. And is there anybody here from that committee?
I don't see Michael Murphy.
All right. Did you happen to hear anything from him?
I'm here.
Oh, Elizabeth, yep.
Hello, Elizabeth.
Yeah, well, Michael Maricki is the chair of that committee, Affordable Housing Advisory Committee. And I did send him Howard's candidacy letter. I don't believe they've met because Michael hasn't gotten back
Got it.
to me. Now, normally what happens is, you're right, it gets vetted through the committee.
Right.
Somebody from that committee recommends to the select board after they have voted on that person.
Yep, like we did with Elizabeth. Same
That's
thing.
correct.
Right, okay, got it.
That's correct.
So maybe we should wait to do that? Is that the proper order
Well,
of things?
I feel like because Josh isn't here and also because we haven't Mike hasn't had a chance to weigh in, that we should probably table this.
I think it's a good idea too. So Howard, thank you. And we'll take this up at next meeting. And thank you for submitting your letter. And we'll do this next time. I forget your name.
Laura Campbell.
Laura.
What is the date on Howard's letter?
September 22nd?
Right at the top.
Yes, okay,
Okay.
yes, yep.
Right.
It was submitted to us, I think, last
Very
week.
recent.
Right.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yes, yeah.
Thank you. Yep. Anybody else? Okay, if there's nothing else, and I think we're moving on to other business, select board items. Any other business?
You all set out here?
Y'all good? I don't see any hands up. Is that it? We did it.
Good.
Hallelujah.
Alright, I will put
Oh,
the-
there's, go ahead.
Was the municipal planning grant on the agenda?
It was, but it's been tabled because the planning commission is gonna meet October 5th. I had a conversation with Pip today,
Oh, okay.
so they're gonna vet it and get into it a little with more detail, you know?
Oh, okay.
And then it's gonna come to the select board on October 6th.
Okay.
So do we need an executive session, Kim?
Yes.
Yes.
Susan.
All right, okay, then I will make a motion.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
very
Good
much,
to see you.
everybody. I will make a motion to enter executive session under Title I V.S.A. 313A3. I think I said the whole thing this time.
That's good, and I'll second that.
Good.
Any discussion?
No.
And I would like to invite Karen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, let's do that.
And so all those in favor of doing that? Aye.
Aye,
Aye,
Okay.
good, we're doing it. All right.
all right.
Okay, so we're back. We've exited executive session and we had a discussion about contractual matters. And Eileen?
So,
you
yeah,
want
I'd
to
like
make
to make a motion to approve the contract for town manager for Karen Astley, effective July 1st, 2021 for the period of 3 years.
a motion? And I will second that. Any more discussion?
Nope.
Nope. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We'll make a motion to adjourn.
And I will second that. And no more discussion? And all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Karen, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.